Good day everyone, and for today I will be discussing what is a modern fantasy. Modern fantasy is a genre of literature that is closely related to traditional literature. The biggest difference is the fact that the books that fall into this genre are not originally told orally. So when we say traditional kasi, it told orally, kinukwento ng mga ninuno natin by generation. And in modern fantasy, it's hindi ganon, hindi kinukwento. And when we say traditional, it has no unknown author. And when we say modern fantasy, it has an known author. A fantasy is a story that cannot be happen in the real world, and for this reason, this genre has been called the literature of fanciful impossible, or from the word not real, so this is fall into fiction story. Modern fantasy, also known as contemporary fantasy, is a subgenre of fantasy set in the present day, or more accurately, the time period of the maker. So, napapanahon, for example, napapanahon sa time ng gumagawa ng kwento. That is, there are 4 elements of stories in this genre. First is the talking animals. For example of these are the pig, or the animal character can talk. Second one is imaginary world. They create another world, two or more, so that they have the wide imagination for children. And third is fanciful characters. And the fourth one is a magical being. When we say magical being, these are the fairies, fairy godmother, like example, and a dwarf, like that. Yung mga magical being kasi is yung hindi natin nakikita may powers. For example, in fairies, diba, they have the powers to fly, and they have their own world, and that's called the other world, or the imaginary world. There are categories of modern fantasy. First, the animal fantasy. Example of these is The Wind in the Willows by Charles Webb. Second is toys and objects imbued with life. Example of this is Pinocchio. Tiny humans, the borrowers, pero tiny humans, these are the fairies, o papasok yung fairies. Yung mga maliliit na character, like that. Peculiar characters and situation. Example of these are Mary Poppins. And in imaginary worlds, the Alice Adventure in Wonderland. O diba, when they nag-adventure sa ibang mundo. So, there are called the second world. And I will be discussing that on the 6th motif of modern fantasy. Next is magical powers, or the chocolate touch. On this, yung may kapangyarihan character. Of course, since this is a fictional, then they use powers so that it make the story more colorful, so that they can catch the attention of the readers, especially the children. Next is supernatural tales. Wait till Helen comes, a ghost story. That's another example. Time warp fantasies. Example of these are King of Shadows, The Gate of Days. Next is high fantasy. The Lion, The Witch and the Wardrobe, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. Novelized traditional tales like Beauty is. Okay, what are the difference of traditional and modern fantasy? When you say traditional, as I said a while back, it has no known author and originally told orally. While in modern fantasy, we have the author, we have known author, the one who write the story, and not told orally. Since we're living in a modern, we don't more on using talking orally, they can just write it and post it in internet so that the children or the readers can easily read the story without any person involved helping them to read the story for them. We have now next, let's move on the 6 basic fantasy motifs. First is the magical. In magical, fantasy literature is the most basic elements, often part of the setting explaining otherwise. So in magical, as I said a while back, there has their powers. The character has powers. For example, if you already, I know some of you watch the Encantadia. You can, as you can see there are, they use the sangre, called sangre, or the fairies have the power. They have each kind of power. Next is other worlds or secondary worlds. In this example, they have the other world. They have other world, for example, the Encantada, as I said. Diba yung Encantada kasi meron siyang Encantadia is the other world. Ang tawag sa pangalawang mundo. Ang nakatira kasi dito, fairies, the sangre, the queen, and the king. A queen, yes. And we have, and the other, then the second, and the main world, which is the earth, mundo ng mga tao, mga ganun ba. So, let me read the definition. A special geography of universe is established, a place wherein magic may freely operate. O yun na, they can use powers, they can use powers in the second world. Okay, thus entire tale may be set in an imaginary place. The characters are taken from a primary world to a secondary world through some types of portal. Diba? There are, they use portal in Encantadia. They use portal to travel to the earth. And they have the portal also as vice versa. They have the portal going to the world of Encantadia. Next one is good versus evil. Modern fantasy have a strong mythological base. The basic theme gives rise to the conflict in the story. How do good evil manifest each other for a character? As my teacher said, kasi noon, hindi mabubuo, hindi magiging maganda ang kalalabasan ng isang story kung walang magiging masama at mabuti. Kasi sila ang nag-create ng conflict na nagpapaganda sa story. Kasi isipin nyo guys, paano magiging maganda yung daloy ng kwento kung walang conflict, kung puro masaya lang, edi very boring, very hindi siya nakaka-engganyo basahin. Okay, next is the heroism. Every hero has a quiz or circular journey, an age-old pattern. There are 6 elements of every hero quiz. The call to adventure, yun na. Crossing the threshold, safety and familiarity, surviving the trials of the new and dangerous environment. Diba yun? Gumagawa sila ng, kumbaga yung heroism, from the word heroism, nagiging hero sila in saving, assistance from protective figure, and returning to home. Second to the last is special character types. Characters who came from either our legendary past or author's vivid imagination. O yun, pumapasok yung vivid imagination, ay yung wide imagination ng author. Really typically humans. O, diba? Yun yun, fairies, giants, dwarfs, elves, wizards, and etc. Next is the fantastic object. Character employ magical props to accomplish heroic or evil deeds. Magical clocks, slippers, mirror, wands, broom, and many more. If you already watched the Harry Potter, the fantastic object they use is their wand. Diba? Doon nanggagaling yung kanilang powers. So, yun yung na-highlight doon sa fantastic object. And in Encantadia naman is yung Brillante nila. Every time they use this, the Brillante has each power. Ang kwento kasi noon, buo siya noon, then kinat siya, tapos nahati-hati siya sa, I think, 5, the power of the earth, water, wind, fire, and yung diwa. And thank you for listening, guys. That's the end of my discussion for today. I hope you learned something. Bye!